SU season hangs in the balance as it takes on number 22 Duke inside the Carrier Dome. Welcome to the special web edition of Cuse Countdown with Seth, Quam, and Marcus White. I'm Varun Raghupathi. Okay, guys, before we get started, what were you guys up to in 1939?
Well, Varun, believe it or not, I was not born in 1939, Marcus.
Oh. Neither was I. My parents weren't even born. I don't think my grandparents had even thought about my parents being born in 1939.
Well, I'll tell you what was going on. Those clothes were definitely in style that year.
They were in style that year, and let me tell you, they were being worn by the most fashionable person in the town, and that is still true today.
Who was that? The most fashionable person, the snake oil salesman?
Easy now. We'll see if he is when we get to predictions and X Factors. But for now, the reason I brought up 1939 was because that's the last time Syracuse and Duke met on the football field. In fact, it's one of only two times. The other game was the year before, 1938. And as you can see in the second matchup, Duke handed it to Syracuse 33-6. Think about this, guys. There wasn't even a Second World War the last time Syracuse and Duke played football. If you want to do it in terms of a football perspective, Ernie Davis wasn't born. He came along later that year, and the great Jim Brown was just 3 years old. And speaking of the number 3, that's how many wins Syracuse has this season. It needs 3 more to make a bowl game, and that means winning out, beating Duke and then Pitt and BC. But guys, middle of the season's really been a free-fall after starting 2-0.
Yeah, I think it's going to be real tough for Varun to make a bowl. We'll talk about Duke in a second, but after that, looking ahead, they've got Pitt. I think they'll have a chance of winning that one. Pitt's been struggling. They've lost 5 of their last 6. But after that week, Boston College has got to be a loss. BC has already beaten NC State this season, and Syracuse just lost to them last week. Going back to my geometry days, Marcus, I believe it is the transitive property that proves that Boston College can beat Syracuse.
It is a tall task ahead for the Orange, but I think one thing they do have in their favor is experience coming back from adversity. Each of the last 2 years, they'd have to be very hot down the stretch just in order to make a bowl. They haven't had to win 3 in a row yet to make a bowl. So it remains to be seen if they can do it, but they do have experience in that locker room with coming back.
Keep in mind, though, A.J. Long's a freshman quarterback, so you don't have the experience in the front man.
That's true, but you got plenty of experience in the backfield with Prince Tyson Gully, a lot of experience on defense, even Jared West, senior wide receiver. A lot of experience there and a lot of lessons that can be learned from that previous experience.
And we'll see if the West and Long connection is as good as advertised. The two, of course, cousins. But so many players playing for a lot this year, a lot of seniors and coaches, perhaps with jobs on the line. So, guys, who steps up in this Syracuse-Duke game?
I'm going to take Adonis Amin Moore, the powerful, bruising running back. He's averages almost 6 yards per carry this entire year. Really hasn't gotten that many opportunities, though. I think if the Syracuse offensive coordinator gives him the ball, allow him to get the touches that he needs, he can be effective and efficient, along with Prince Tyson Gully. That'll really create a dynamic running attack, and that's what Syracuse needs to get the offense going and have a balanced offensive attack, Marcus.
Seth, my X Factor, I'm going to open up with a Horace Greeley quote. He once wrote, "Go West, young man," and that's exactly what A.J. Long has done so far. Since Long took over the reins at quarterback against Florida State, West has 19 catches for 289 yards. He's already set career highs in receiving yards. He's on pace to set a career high in receptions. Him and Long have the chemistry already. People think of Ishmael and Long mostly, but West has clearly emerged as his favorite target. I think on senior day, he's due for a big game.
Of course, maybe hooking up with a cousin again. That would be a big game for Jared West, who has struggled at times this year and in years past. But if he does come up big against Duke, it would do wonders for the Syracuse team and offense. Okay, guys, moment of truth now. Does Syracuse's season continue after this game? Marcus, we'll start with you.
I think they stay alive. I think Syracuse wins 24-22. A.J. Long has shown a strong ability to bounce back this season, had less than 100 throwing yards against Clemson. A week later, even in a loss against NC State, had 300. Plus, it's senior day. The last time Syracuse played a ranked opponent on senior day, they upset Louisville. It might be a coincidence, but it could be destiny for Scott Schaefer's team.
I think it's going to be a coincidence, Marcus. I'm going to take Duke in this one, 27-17. SU just had a demoralizing loss last week against NC State. I think Syracuse knows it's more than likely not going to make it to a bowl game. I think their focus is going to falter in this one. And Syracuse hasn't won at home since their opening game against Villanova, and that was in double overtime. Furthermore, A.J. Long passed for 300 yards last week. It's hard for us to ask him to do more than that, and they still lost. So he's a freshman quarterback. He's going to make mistakes. You can't probably count on the 300 yards every week. And like I said, they still lost in this game. I think it's going to be a tough one against Duke.
So the big takeaway from this is, Marcus, you think that Syracuse has bowl chances after this contest, but Seth, you think the team is dead in the water.
I think they're going to be on a downward spiral. Like I said, I think they're going to lose against Duke, maybe have a chance against Pitt, but then BC, it's going to be down the drain again.
Well, we will see if Syracuse can pull out the victory against Duke. Remember, the Orange needs to win against Duke, Pitt, and Boston College to get 6 victories and become bowl eligible. For Seth and Marcus, I'm Varun. Thanks so much for watching, and enjoy the game.